I've talked about it plenty on this channel, but what is nihilism? Or more importantly, what is existential nihilism? As defined by Nietzsche, a nihilist is a man who judges that the real world ought not to be, and that the world as it ought to be does not exist. According to this view, our existence, action, suffering, willing, feeling, has no meaning. This, in vain, is the nihilist pathos, an inconsistency on the part of the nihilist. To put it more simply, existential nihilism is the philosophical theory that life has no intrinsic meaning or value. An untestable theory, of course, but I'm not sure how anyone that ponders the nature of themselves, the experience of their existence, or the nature of this reality doesn't come to this. Being a nihilist kind of makes sense if you think about it. If we aren't able to discern a fundamental and objective point to what we see, know, and experience, then how can it possess any meaning? The key ingredients for meaning are, number one, an understanding of a thing, and number two, an acceptance of realness of this understanding as being relevant and pertinent to us. But when we look for absolute meaning and significance, we don't limit our scope, do we? No, we extend it as far as we can conceive. For some of us, we can only conceive of what we've known directly, what we can experience directly with our senses. For the rest of us, we may be able to conceive of separate realms that are independent of or supporting our own universe. This need for us and our meaning to matter ultimately is understandable. It also explains why so many of us end up nihilistic. We can't understand everything that we can imagine and can conceive of. It takes a while, sometimes a lifetime, just to wrap our heads around society and culture, let alone the nature of all existence. We can conceive of anything from a simulated reality to a multiverse, although we can't understand it. Not sufficiently enough for it to be meaningful and strengthening. But we still want to know, right? We want to understand the nature of us, why anything exists, or what the point of all of this is. These questions are never answerable once a person awakens to the vastness of the universe and their relative position in it. Not in an absolute and concrete way, not in the same way that a person can rest their inquiry when they're truly faithful. When you believe in a God, or if you're faithful, you have an explanation for all events and happenings, especially the ones that science has no real testable theories for. Putting religion and faith aside, nihilism still has a negative connotation associated with it because it's most often linked with depression. And it kind of makes sense. How can a person not be a little bit bummed out and unmotivated when they come to the realization that logic and reason alone won't be able to provide absolute meaning? There's additional insult and injury when we realize that our intellectual arrogance has potentially put us in a worse place than the people we've looked down on for their irrational beliefs. Clearly, we're never going to have faith again, at least not blind faith. But we don't have to exist nihilistically, not forever. It is sensible and advisable to abandon faith, in my opinion, but it doesn't mean we have to abandon meaning along with it. One of my goals with this channel is to communicate how we can be sensible and have intellectually sound meaning. So make sure you subscribe if this is something that interests you. Well, that's it. A brief look at existential nihilism, a central theme on this channel, in my thinking, and in my philosophy. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.